Okay, so here's a trick to better use your reach targets and um, control how quickly they reach and release. And I have a character in my scene, and I've added a ball from the create menu and shrunk it down and moved it. So if I select my character now, um, and I go into the animation tab, let's reset this to 0. So I've got nothing on this character here. He's just standing here. Okay, so I want him to reach for the ball. Let's say not the first frame, but somewhere down the road. Let's say at frame 120, I want him to reach for the ball. Um, so I'll go there in my timeline, and then I'll go into my animation tab in the modify panel, and I will say edit reach target, and I'm going to select the appropriate hand and use eyedropper to pick the target and click on the ball. Now he's reaching towards the ball. If I move the ball, for instance, let me go ahead and close this. If I move the ball, for instance, he'll still reach for it. So if you move it closer, he could be like grasping it. If you move it further away, he'll be trying to reach it. So it'd be like pointing towards it. Anyway, that's how you use that option. Now you'll notice that he's reaching for the bottom of the ball. That's because that's where the pivot is. I can actually change that pivot location of the ball if I go in to the ball modify attributes, and down here I can select the pivot to the center, and then he'll reach for the center of that ball. Okay, so that's set a key because I've adjusted the ball, moved it, and that's fine for our purposes there. And what I'm going to do is go back to the character, and we have our reach target set here. And then at some point, I'm going to want to, let that go. So I'm going to go up to frame 150 and go back into my reach targets panel with the character selected, obviously. And I'm going to select that same hand again, and I'm going to click on release. Okay, at that point, he's going to let it go. So I'm going to have a bunch of, so you can let it go at a, and you can see he's doing it at a kind of reasonable rate. So if I go back to the beginning now, what I'll see is the ball's moving over, he reaches up, and then he lets go. All right, so now I want to change the speed at which he can reach and let go. So I'm going to close the panel here. I'm going to pull up my timeline a little higher to make sure I can see everything I need to. And the reach track is not visible by default. So I need to come up here in the little arrow right after the name and click on the reach so I can see that. All right, now the reach track is visible, and it will probably be closed like this when you open it. And then if you spin down the little arrow, then you can see the subtracks. And here's our reach happening here. Let me pull this over so we can see it more. Okay, so you can see where he's fully just fully reached and just starting to unreach. Okay, so the trick here is to click on the little keys, and then it will show you the lead-in time. So right now it's set to cover a reasonable chunk of time. But we can grab that little bar at the end and snug it up a lot tighter. And we can also do that on the end. Snug that up a lot tighter. And now if I play the animation, you can see he's reaching for it and releasing it much, much quicker. Okay, so that's how you control the speed at which he reaches. Hope that's helpful.